Okay, it is alive. Um, Also, this month we commemorate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King, the only federal holiday designated as National Day of Service. Hopefully, encouraging all Americans to volunteer and join in the efforts to improve their communities in whatever small way they can. And we saw many community efforts this MLK Day. The First Baptist Church in Bayshore, Mary Reed was there with a number of people. In fact, it was interesting. The president of Suffolk Community College, he took the time to come down and help volunteer at the First Baptist Church. Also, there was a big effort. Students from my brother's Keeper program at Brentwood High School were at Pronto, and they had a community day of service, and they were helping people in need. It was really wonderful to see that happening in action, and it really speaks to what our community is all about. And in that spirit of Dr. King's legacy, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind us all of what gives our town its unparalleled identity. We're a community of the greatest strengths. We're rich because of our diverse backgrounds of all of our residents who call Islip their home. We're a melting pot of cultures, religions, and languages. And to celebrate this, our Town of Islip Unity Council, which is the rebranded anti bias task force, comprised of community leaders from many backgrounds across the town, including religious organizations, school officials, hospital officials, nonprofit agency directors, as well as elected officials. This council meets periodically during the year to discuss how to engage with the community and local leaders in the idea of promoting unity and solidarity. We've had a luncheon speaker series. One of our kickoff luncheon series was with a Holocaust survivor, and that was so very impactful. So to kind of kick it off this year, Friday we're having the Unity Council Unity Service, and we're bringing the community together, religious leaders, elected officials, no matter what their political affiliation, and the community across the board is invited to participate, and it will help hopefully to jumpstart communications on how we can all work together for the benefit of everyone. So again, everyone is invited to attend, and for the details, I think there are some flyers around or out by the table outside with the details, but you can always go to the website. Additionally, I'd like to announce that our original documentary, The Blue Point Oyster, has premiered earlier this month and is now available for viewing. You can go to islipny.gov or the YouTube channel, A Town of Islip, and watch this really interesting documentary to learn all about the legendary Blue Point oyster and our town's ongoing efforts and commitment to conservation efforts and to the environment. Uh, further, Further, in the spirits of being good stewards, the town is once again participating in the Betty White Challenge, encouraging people to donate to the animal shelter and to adopt from the animal shelter. So, anyone wanting more information can call 224-5660 or go to the town's website. And with that, it brings me to, I think, the highlight of the remarks today. And I want to introduce everyone to Edwin Yates, who's a student from Brentwood High School. And Edwin is here. And do you mind coming up? And I'd ask you to be joined by your teacher to give you a little moral support and whomever else you brought with you today. But we wanted to take this opportunity to highlight recent correspondence that we had with one of our bright young residents, Brentwood High School student Edwin Yanes. Edwin wrote a letter in November expressing his concern about littering with a recommendation to increase the penalty for doing so in public places in order to further dissuade litterers and reduce pollution in our streets and community. We share Edwin's sentiments, and that is why later in the meeting, the board will be voting on a proposal to hold a public hearing to consider adopting such an amendment to the Islip Town Code. I really want to thank Edwin, and I'd ask the town board to come up and join me in thanking him and really highlighting the idea that anyone can effectuate change, anyone can make a difference, and you can leverage the power of local government, and doing so in a very respectful manner. You did it. You did it. So we thank you for that. And I know that. Edwin, we push this time. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to take a few moments to just thank the town council for not only welcoming, but supporting our young scholar and his advocacy skills as he was prompted by his teacher to take a look at some things that can be improved in his community, and actually took the initiative to write to the town to say, this is something that I would like to change. And this is for all of our students to be able to see that their voice can be heard, that they do have the power to make changes in legislation. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to greater things coming for you, Edward. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Okay, we'll begin this afternoon. We have two scheduled public hearings for the board's consideration. I'll call upon the town clerk, Olga Murray, to please read the first hearing notice.
Certainly. Our first hearing today is to consider enacting local law number 1 of 2023, amending local law 1 of 1998, titled Chapter 68, 624 of the Islip Town Code.
Okay, I know we have someone who signed up, but I don't think they necessarily wanted to speak. If there is anyone who wants to speak on this public hearing, otherwise, are there any questions or comments from the board? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we close the public hearing, offer the resolution for its adoption.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you would please read the next hearing notice.
Yes, the second and final hearing today is to consider amending Chapter 39, entitled Peddlers.
Okay, and what this basically does is, there was kind of a loose thing as far as how many peddlers there were, and this kind of assigns the number of peddlers licensed based on the population of any given hamlet, so that it is a little bit more equitable. Are there any questions or comments on this? No one has signed up to speak. I'll entertain a motion then.
Motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution, please.
We have a motion by Councilman Quadrone. All those, second? Second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Okay, we now go to the public portion, I believe. That's where we're at. Okay, we have a number of cards. Just to remind everyone, you have 3 minutes. It is the public portion, your opportunity to address the board with any concerns, any issues, all of the good things that we're doing. We love to hear about it. But obviously, if you have any issues, the commissioners are all here. So if anyone has anything in particular that we can address here today, you can step out in the hall and we will try to help you. But then again, it is a new year, and we're really very hopeful that this will bring about a year of respect and understanding that we're all here because we care about our community and want to do the right thing. And we do want to hear from you. But again, it's not a question and answer, so this is your time. So our first speaker, Jim Schlau. You have 3 minutes, so come forward.
I didn't want to be nitpicky about it, but I've been cleaning the beach for 32 years on the north side of Fire Island, and I'm finding their oyster traps, and I don't know what to do with them. I carry them for miles, a mile, at least a mile or 2 miles. I throw them in a dumpster. I don't know what's going on with that, but here's some pictures. I want to give you these pictures. Anybody want to take these up there? Look, there goes all my notes. I'll get them on the way out. I want you to see these pictures, and then she's taking off. Can they stop the clock? I want you to see those pictures because we got businesses going on around here that I've been complaining about for a long time. It's not like the parties, a lot of parties, which there's been some. It's been a little bit better. The cops are starting to respond. It's not perfect, but it's better. These houses are packed with people. I got a picture there. We got a house, but I don't know how many cars. Who's paying the taxes? You know, these are single-family houses that I bought a single-family house. How come this board doesn't feel responsible for alleviating this problem here in the town with these houses? They're packed to the gills. You got another one there in those pictures where there's a house with no CO on it. They're adding a dormer there. I called up code enforcement on that. Now, I see your program here, Spotlight, and you had the fire marshal there. One of those houses that burned down is just as crowded as it was when it burned down. And it was in the newsday. That's on Carlton Avenue. I think it's 35 or 37 Carlton Avenue in Islip Terrace. And there's still cars parked on the sidewalks. There's been a little bit of change, not much. I did call several handicapped places in Suffolk County to see if they could maybe do something about it. Because I'm telling you, you know, I call the police, and the police say it's a town matter. So you call public safety, and they say it's a police matter. So what does public safety do, really? You know, I used to come here to these town halls before I retired. Now you got this gauntlet you got to go through to come in here. Nobody's really causing any kind of a stir here. These are just benign complaints, really, is what they amount to. Nobody's making any threats. I don't know why I got to go through a locked door. You go to Babylon and they don't have this. Besides that, yeah, looked at a house in Smithtown and it didn't look like this area. I can tell you that. If I buy the house, it's going to put me in debt. But I would get out of here. I wish you would do something about what's going on. Really. You're obligated.
Thank you, Mr. Schlau. Next speaker, David Wenger. Okay, he stepped down, and we will go to Barbara Braun.
I represent a large community of pickleball players here in Islip. And we're very happy that the Holbrook courts have now been set up for pickleball. But such a huge space, and they only put 3 courts in. The area, I measured it, it's 119 by 93 feet. So that's 3 courts. It leaves, each side of each court is 37 feet. So you could fit in at least 4 courts there. And if they won't do that, at least line some of the tennis courts for pickleball. We played there last month, even though it's not completed yet. There hasn't been painted or permanently lined. And we had over 30 people waiting for a court to open. So there's a real need, and the need is growing greater every day. Pickleball is started, nobody ever heard of it. Now people are just taking lessons, and all kinds of indoor courts opening up as well. So I was just wanted to know if they could consider, before they finally paint it, line it, reconfiguring it. So we can put
Okay, thank you very much, Barbara. I know the Parks Department has been very aggressively working on restriping some of the courts, putting in some new courts, and even though it may appear that you could fit another court in, sometimes there are things underground that you're not aware of that don't lend themselves to having the court there. So we are doing the best that we can. This time of the year is not really conducive to construction, so we ask you to be patient, and we really are very focused on pickleball. I actually bought a racket. Still in the bag, but no, I appreciate your surveying skills. And the department reps are here, and they certainly are listening and will let us know about it. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, the next speaker, David Wenger, did you return? Okay. Rathia Dinzey. I apologize if I didn't get that correct.
My name is Rufia Jinsai. Good afternoon. Um, Again, good afternoon, everyone. The reason I am here now is sure 164. Sure. I've been in the shelter for about 2 years. Hurt me because apparently somebody wants to.
Rufia, if you could please bring that microphone down so we could hear you a little better. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Um, Recently, I've been in the shelter for 2 years. Shelter from shelter because I was being threatened that somebody is going to kill me. Uh, Apparently, somebody wants my property so badly. Um, Last September, apparently there was a board meeting, a resolution to have my house cleaned up. I've been trying to clean up my property for a while. Unfortunately, somebody always trying to stop it. I couldn't tell you who, but somehow some people who wants to help me somehow couldn't come, and I tried to do it myself as much as I can. My property is always being vandalized, being trashed. Recently, a apparently there was a resolution to clean up my property because I removed a lot of my stuff from inside the house because I was going to fix the house. And I was going to put a shed in the back so that I can put some of my stuff in the backyard. I was not notified regarding the resolution because I was in the shelter and I have a PO box that it was not mailed to me. Apparently, there was a board meeting on September 13 to remove my stuff on my property. I had arranged somebody. I called the town at the time to put a shed, but somebody stopped it. And I spoke to somebody from the town that there was a resolution of September 13, which I did not know. And when I spoke to somebody at the end of September, they said that they already removed the property in my the stuff in my house on September 13. I spoke to is that time.
Yeah, but, listening to this, Rufia, I think probably what would be best for you, town attorney's office is right down the hall. You might want to go down there and ask the receptionist if you could set up a meeting and go over the issue with the town attorney that, handles these board of cleanup resolutions and what happened in September, and you
Okay.
can give them the details, and hopefully they can help you with this.
Okay.
All
Can I
right?
speak for 1 minute? Apparently, there will be a resolution to have to clean up my property again inside the house. Yesterday, Saturday, I came inside my house. It was vandalized again, all over again. Okay, so I'm sorry, mom. So I will go outside and speak to.
Yeah, when the gentleman at the door there will direct you down to the town attorney's office, I would make an appointment and speak to them, and they can know exactly where we are with that. And as far as any issues with vandalism, that obviously would be have handled with the Suffolk County Police Department. So they'll give you all of that information and really try to work with you.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next speaker is Janet Ward, but I do believe this is on one of the Board of Cleanups, so we'll wait till we get to that. All right, thank you. Next speaker is Pat.
Okay. In 2002, a former supervisor for Brookhaven put forth for council districts to be voted on. The supervisor was the only member on the town council who voted against resolution allocating $50,000 to hire council district attorney to fight it. Then in 2006, Mr. McGowan put forth for the people to vote for council districts because by election law, and you should know this, Mr. Lorenzo, that a vote has to be taken amongst the town board to present a proposition to hold a vote for council districts. You do not have the right to decide that the residents of this town do not get to vote for council districts or have council districts. That is a law. And if the local media, again, who just didn't do their job or their fact checking, they could have found the laws, Town Ward Law 81, 85, ward system town government. You have to allow the people to have a vote. An elected person is by virtue an elected person at an election, not handpicked for your financial benefit. So the town board against has violated the public trust. Once again, the local media thinking an elderly woman wouldn't lie. Boy, were you wrong. The town board approved Mr. Lorenzo to be on the town board. Now, they wrote up in the article all that he does. He's on this, he's on that, but they never told you that Mr. Lorenzo works for the council of, I'm sorry, I take that back, the Conservative Party. Okay? You're the filer for the Conservative Party, and you're the treasurer for the Conservative Club. But that was left out, okay? All your involvements. And you made a statement, but only by email, that you're proud and honored. Well, you knew what the laws were, but yet you still took it. You, of all people, should have known better. This board can't continue as when the runaway town supervisor, John DeCiccio, nephew of your biggest funneler, Miss Carpenter, of campaign donations, was here making up his own laws for you, not for the people, but for you. And this is the article on Mr. McGowan, where you're not even allowed to draw up voting lines.
Thank you
It's
very
a
much.
law.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. It just, again, I said this is not a question and answer, and certainly I'm not answering the question. But I do want, because our integrity has been challenged, questioned, impugned, I would ask the town attorney to please put on the record the process that we as a town board are directed to embark upon to fill a vacancy to the town board, where there will be an election this November for that vacancy. Mr. Mr. Walsh, if you would, please. And then there was a very unique situation that took place here in that we are under a court order. There was a lawsuit, and we are under a court order that we are directed to follow. And I would just ask, remember we said about being respectful? And we can't all shout. We're gonna have a recess. Should we? No. So we can. All right, Mike, if you would, Mr. Walsh, please, for the interest of the public that hopefully can hear, would you please tell us again, or reiterate the process that took place in the appointment of Mr. Lorenzo to fill the vacancy?
All right, so the town's ward system was not created by the New York State town law. The town of Islip's ward system was created by the Voting Rights Act in October of 2020. In October of 2020, the town of Islip was on a federal court order that was not made pursuant to the New York State town law. What that federal court order said was that the town had to create 4 ward districts, or we call them councilmanic districts. Districts 1 and 2 were filled in November of 2021 in the general election. The court order went on to say that districts 3 and 4 are to be filled in November of 2023. The court order went on to state that each of the ward seats are to be terms of 4 years. In January of 2023, the District 4 seat was vacated by Councilwoman Mullins' ascension to the First District Court. In that same year, again, we were to fill through the general election the District 4 seat. So because we had a vacancy in the same calendar year that the Ward 4 seat was supposed to be elected, a representative was supposed to be elected, this town board was actually obligated under New York State Town Law Section 64, Subdivision 5, to fill that vacancy. This town board acted, this town board filled the vacancy, and there will be, I believe the petition season probably starts in about a month or two, and there'll be an election in November. So the The appointment was not made pursuant to town law, it was made pursuant to the Voting Rights Act. So we have to get the right statutory scheme correct first. Thank you.
But having heard all of that, at the end of the day, I want it to be abundantly clear that this town board acted in conformance with what we were directed to do as far as the Federal Voting Rights Act and town law and New York State law directing town boards. Okay. Okay, we're good. All right, the next speaker, Greg.
My topic today is ambulance billing. Now, last month, Angie, you mentioned that you learned or understood that when the residents are billed for co-payments or co-insurance, that they should ignore the bill. That was your statement, in quotes. Just ignore the bill. Would not affect any credit scores or your credit rating. So when I received a bill for an ambulance charge, right, they told you to cut along the dotted line, put your payment in the envelope, which is self-addressed, back to the billing company. And what happened to these monies now when the people paid? They didn't know until December's board meeting that they were supposed to ignore this bill. You knew about it back in 2019, February, when you and Joe Ludwig met with the 5 districts. You set up that meeting. Okay? So you understood it back in 2019 that the residents should ignore the bill. In other words, disregard the billing. Okay? Where is the money for these people to be refunded? Because the exchange ambulance is only refunding where you chose to initial certain contract years. Others, you omitted your initials from that provision. Okay, Angie? Gabish. So here's the deal. What you did here is nefarious. It's fraud against your own residents. You may have submarined me last month, but you torpedoed your own residents, Angie, with this. Okay? Now, for a fact, Hopog Central Islip Hopog Ambulance District, you initialed all 4 years, starting in 2019. And Mr. Ludwig is right. They initiated 2019. Every year, 2019 to 2022, you initialed 4 years. That means that the town seeks the obligation to pay their co-payments, okay, for those residents in that district. Why wasn't that implied to all the districts, Angie, throughout Islip, the other 4 districts? You picked and chose. Where's the money from the fund, the town fund, now to pay back to the ambulance districts these monies they stole from the residents through billing them? Okay? This is a major crisis what you have going on here. Okay? This is fraud. He's considering it being soft billing. That's an illegal term. Soft billing is the practice when you send a bill in which both parties understand does not have to be paid. Now, waiving this co-payment without the knowledge of an insurance company, it would constitute fraud. Ask your attorney if it doesn't or it does. Okay? So what are we doing? By the end of the day, Andrew, you're going to let us know if you're going to refund these people, the people that sent their payments in? Okay? What are you going to do about it? Because sooner or later, you're going to have to answer. If not to me, it's going to be the courts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Sweetheart.
Thank you. I'll take that in the manner in which it was offered. Next speaker, Joe Fritz.
Good afternoon, Joe Fritz, Brentwood resident. Just want to wish Happy New Year to the current residents of the town hall, especially to the newest one. Mike, congratulations. The question I have before I go into my little shtick is, why is it that Brookhaven has had an election for town clerk and Islip has had an anointing rather than electing? Just asking. I think Mike had brought it out. I think that what he said, while it may be true, I think there was 2 choices to be made. Choosing the federal law as opposed to the town law, I think there was options, and I think he just elected it because it was convenient. I'm here to speak about Robbins Hall. New York Tech bought the former New York State Central Islip State Hospital grounds for nothing. When they were going insolvent, they sold it to a developer for a tremendous amount. The developer is now repurposing the buildings for apartments. The next step in the daisy chain is to ask for a tax reduction via the IDA board, which is composed of Islip Town Board instead of an independent IDA board, such as what other towns have. I asked, is it not time to consider appointing an independent IDA board so that conflicts will not arise when the town votes to reduce taxes on a project? As far as Robbins Hall goes, this building was the showcase for events that took place at the state hospital in its heyday. The building is structurally sound and would make an ideal location for the residents of Central Islip to have their senior programs, recreation hall, etc. What will become of it now, I do not know, but the residents of Central Islip should derive an additional benefit of this structure for the community. I suggest that when our developer comes up to make his pitch for a tax reduction, the developer be met with a quid pro quo to donate the building to the town of Islip for the ability to be used for the town residents. The way that I see it, it's a request for a tax reduction is a foregone conclusion, and the residents of the Central Islip should derive some benefit. After all, Islip Town or New York State gave the land to New York Tech. New York Tech sold the property to new owners, and now is not the time for the new owners to provide the community with an asset for the Central Islip residents. I don't want to hear that the developer is providing the community with affordable housing without showing that the rents will be lower. A famous Republican said, trust but verify. Well, I would guess that affordable housing is a ruse to the town residents, and those who live in the apartment houses will show that they receive the tax abatement, but not the reduction in housing. And the reason is because no one's policing it. Let's begin the new year by making a commitment to the CI residents of the community building that can be held by asking the developer to bring it to the community. After all, if you never ask, the answer is always no. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. You made a comment about that we might have followed the law, or we could have chosen to go another route and took a more expedient one. I just want to make it clear again, when Town Attorney Walsh described the process that took place, we did in fact follow the law and did what we were directed to do. It wasn't a choice that we had to make. And as far as Robbins Hall, I totally agree with you. We were prepared to take that building on and make it a tremendously viable community center. But it's my understanding that that building was donated to the Central Islip School District. So you might want to go to the Central Islip School Board and ask them what their plans are for that particular building. Thank you. Next speaker, Andy Cross. Yeah. There is a pool in one building.
Before I get into my speech, I think this is a little absurd that none of this guy's thing was brought before a town board meeting. John, why wasn't it brought before a town board meeting? That's ridiculous. Should we go back to 2 board meetings a month so there's no backroom deals anymore? That's ridiculous. All right, once again, I'm here about the New York NYS real property tax law line on my tax bill. When you said that the tax increased 41% due to the price of real estate crashing, is this going to go up another 41% due to real estate crashing again? The decrease of this year doesn't even come close to the increases of the past. I believe the increases of the past, while the price of real estate went up, is going to increase the tax next year. Another 41%, because real estate is about to crash. A couple of 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or whenever, a concerned taxpayer came to my house and gave me information that the town part of my tax bill went up approximately 52% since 2013. Can you tell us if this is in the ballpark and where's all this money went? Can you tell us at least why three past town boards had no increases at all? And why do you need all this extra money? The highway tax went up this year after a 51% increase a couple of years ago. Where's all this extra money going? The snow money wasn't even all used up from last year. And the town tax, highway tax has gone up. Where's it all going? I mean, sooner or later, we're going to have to find out where it's all going, why it's going up so much. This guy that came and gave me the 52% letter, he was mad as I'm at. It's ridiculous. Where is all this extra money going? And this message is for my town board member who covers my district. I believe it's Mr. Cochran. So what are you doing to get the parking meters out of Bay Shore? And why is the Bay Shore the only village in the town with them in? Why should Bay Shore be discriminated against with parking meters? I'm ready for any answers. I'm not going to sit down and have you answer. Anybody? Don't wait till I sit down and answer.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Okay, that is all the speakers who have signed up for the public portion. Do I have a motion to close the public portion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? The public portion is closed. We will now move to the agenda. First item on the agenda is the meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. I'd call for a motion for this board to convene as the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency Board. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. Second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor? Opposed? We are convened, a quorum being present. Mr. Walzer?
Thank you.
Good
Good
to see
afternoon,
you.
Madam Chair and members of the agency board. John Walzer, Executive Director, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip, New York. I have several items for your consideration today. The first item for your consideration is to approve the minutes from our board meeting on November 15th of 2022.
Are there any questions on the minutes? Motion by Councilman Guadron. Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is to approve the minutes from our board meeting on December 13th of 2022.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Guadron, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item is a motion, for your consideration is to approve the 2023 meeting schedule for the agency.
I have a motion. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, the next item for consideration is a resolution appointing officers to the agency.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, thank you. The next item for your consideration is a resolution to adopt an audit committee for the agency.
I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is a resolution to adopt a finance committee for the agency.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is a resolution to adopt the governance committee for the agency.
Questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, thank you. The next 6 items on the agenda, numbers 9 through 14, are pro forma policies that we adopt for the agency annually, and I would respectfully ask for you to adopt them with one motion today.
Okay, so we have the ethics, investment, procurement, conflict of interest, and the travel and authorization and mileage reimbursement, along with the property disposition policies. These are as they have been in the past. So that's resolutions 9 through 14. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo to adopt 9 through 14. Any questions? Hearing none, motion? And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you.
That takes us to 15.
Correct. Number 15 is a resolution authorizing the agency to enter into a contract with Mike Sinisky for computer programming services.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. By Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is a resolution for the agency to enter into a marketing agreement with JVC Broadcasting.
I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? Second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for consideration is a resolution for the agency to enter into a marketing agreement with WABC Radio.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. By Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item is an inducement resolution between the agency and Big Geyser Incorporated at 111 Wilshire Boulevard in Edgewood. This is an expansion of a distributor of non-alcoholic beverages. They will be expanding from 60,000 to 120,000 square feet at this location. They'll be relocating their corporate headquarters from New York City and adding 40 employees to their current roster of 200.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second. By Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is also an inducement resolution for Positive Promotions Incorporated at 15 Gilpin Avenue in Hauppauge. This project represents an expansion for this manufacturer of promotional products and the addition of 60 new jobs to their current roster of 450.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. Next item for your consideration is an authorizing resolution for Euro Pastry, which we induced at last month's meeting. This is an expansion of a commercial baker in Ronkonkoma.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is an assignment and assumption of an existing project known as Gullhaven Commons.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. By Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, the next item is an assignment and assumption of a project known as Gullhaven Commons 2.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second. By Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
And the last item I have for your consideration is a resolution to amend the ownership structure of the real estate at 260 Spur Drive South in Bayshore.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. By Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. And I believe there is no other items to come before us. We will have a motion to adjourn. The IDA by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. And that takes us to item 2, meeting of the Town of Islip Economic Development Corporation. A motion to convene by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand convened, a quorum being present, and you may begin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Corporation Board. I have several items for your consideration today. The first would be to approve the minutes from our last meeting, our last board meeting on October 18th of 2022.
Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is to approve the 2023 meeting schedule for the corporation.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item for your consideration is a resolution appointing officers to the corporation.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is a resolution to adopt an audit committee for the corporation.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
The next item is a resolution to adopt the finance committee for the corporation.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, the next item for your consideration is a resolution to adopt the governance committee for the corporation.
Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second
Second.
by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, the next 6 items, numbers 8 through 13, again, are policies that we adopt for the corporation annually. I would ask for you to adopt them with one motion.
Okay, we will do that. Items 8 through 13, a motion to adopt the ethics policy, investment policy, procurement policy, conflict of interest policy, property disposition policy, and the travel authorization and mileage reimbursement. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Thank you. And the last item I have for your consideration is resolution authorizing LIBOR to be replaced for the United Cerebral Palsy Association of Greater Suffolk bonds.
Are there any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. And is there any other business to come before the corporation?
Oh,
Hearing none. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. Okay, we will now move to item 3, the meeting of the Town of Islip Resource Recovery Agency. Commissioner Baloo, good to see you this afternoon. You may begin.
Madam Chair, members of the agency board, Martin Ballou, President of Resource Recovery Agency, 401 Main Street, Islip, New York. I have several items for consideration today. First of which is the approval of the minutes from the December 13th, 2022 agency board meeting.
Thank you. Any question on the minutes? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next item is a resolution authorizing the president to enter into a contract with Germano and Cahill PC to provide general legal and litigation services for the year 2023.
Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next item is a resolution authorizing the town attorney and/or the agency counsel to act on behalf of the agency when appropriate to protect the agency's interest in matters.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
This item is a resolution authorizing the president to enter into a contract extension between the Islip Resource Recovery Agency and DeVerker and Bartolucci Engineers and Architects, PC, to provide professional on-call planning and environmental regulatory compliance support services related to the continued operation and maintenance of the MacArthur Resource Recovery Facility for calendar year 2023.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Item is authorizing the president to enter into a contract between the agency and Pace Analytical Services, Inc., calendar years 2023, 2024, and 2025 for professional services related to laboratory analytical services, for groundwater and ash analysis for all Islip Resource Recovery Agency sites.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
And the last item is a resolution authorizing the president to enter into an agreement between the agency and the Hopog Union Free School District for the school year 2022 to 2023, provide for collection and processing by the agency and/or the town of certain recyclable materials generated at the facilities of the school district, reduce the amount of solid waste destined for disposal by the school district.
Are there any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Any other business to come before us? Hearing none, motion to adjourn the agency by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guarjone. All those in favor or opposed, we stand adjourned and move to item 4, authorization of supervisor to enter into a license agreement for one parcel of town-owned Bay Bottom land for the purpose of shellfish cultivation in the Great South Bay. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guarjone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor or in favor, one recusal, the motion is adopted. Item 5, the next item to secure, demolish certain properties in the town of Islip. Mr. Panache?
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the town board and the town clerk. Jeffrey Panache, town attorney, 65 Main Street, Islip, New York. I have 5 matters on for your consideration here today. Number 1, to clean up the premises located at 31 Rossmore Avenue in central Islip. On this vacant property, there now exists high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris. Constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 2, to board up the premises located at 164 Fifth Avenue in Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists open doors providing access to the dwelling, as well as open windows and walls that have holes in them, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Are there any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 3, to clean up the premises located at 400 Suffolk Avenue in Brentwood. On this vacant property, there now exists an abandoned box trailer with no license plate that is filled with unidentified, barrels, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guarjone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Number 4 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance, and number 5 has been withdrawn as it is now in compliance as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let us move on. We are up to item 6, which are the bid awards. Are there any questions? Hearing none, motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guarjone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 7, authorization for the supervisor to sign an indemnification holds harmless agreement for the Youth Enrichment Services 2023 summer program. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 8, appointment of Colette Fauscher Sandler as the Deputy Commissioner of the Fair Harbor Dunewood Medical Service District. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 9, meeting of the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority Board. I'll call for a motion to convene by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? We are convened, a quorum being present. Mr. Hemingway.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and members of the FTZ Board, both old and new. My name is Brad Hemingway. I'm the Executive Director for the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority, located in Ronkonkoma, New York. I have a number of items for your consideration today. First item being approval of the minutes from October 18th, 2022, meeting of the Town of Islip Foreign Trade Zone Board.
Any questions on the minutes? Motion by Councilman Guarjone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next is authorization for the Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority to renew a custodial service agreement with Odds and Ends LLC for its final year of the contract.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guarjone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Next is authorization for the Islip Foreign Trade Zone Authority to renew a heating and cooling service contract with Quinn & Finer Service Company, a 1-year option for renewal along with it.
Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved.
Last item for today is authorization for the Islip Foreign Trade Zone to enter into a landscape contract with Suburban Maintenance and Landscaping Incorporated for a 1-year term with an option to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods.
Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. That's it.
Further item?
Anything else to come before us? No, then we'll motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned and move to item 10 on the agenda, which are the appropriation transfers. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 11 is a board approval for the use of a portion of the town's ARPA funds for the purpose of acquiring GASB 87 software, which will assist the Controller's Office in accounting application and financial reporting requirements. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. The next item is an approval to extend the Town Department Planning and Development's ability to issue temporary outdoor dining permits through January 31st, 2024. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 13, acceptance of a corner radius dedication required for the property frontage on Eastview Drive and Lowell Avenue in Central Islip to be used for highway purposes. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 14, authorization with the supervisor to execute an agreement with Sky Energy LLC for the purpose of providing professional consultant services to the Department of Aviation and Transportation. Are there any questions? Motion? By Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 15, authorization for supervisor to execute an agreement with John Giamatti Consulting LLC to provide professional services to the Department of Aviation and Transportation to promote the airport. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 16 is an approval to amend the contract with Arcadis of New York, authorizing a monetary increase in connection with providing additional on-call environmental services at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 17 is an authorization for supervisor to execute an agreement with the Community Development Agency for reimbursement of certain services related to code enforcement in the designated areas for the calendar year of 2022. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. And I see the Director, Jay Bowers from CDA is here. Let me take this opportunity to thank you for all the good work that the CDA does in partnership with the town. We really appreciate it. Item 18 is the acceptance of a monetary donation of $1,500 from the Town of Islip Housing Authority to be used for the Town of Islip's 37th annual Just Say No to Drugs Sharpshooter Basketball Contest, which will be held on Saturday, March 4th. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman O'Connor, Cochran rather. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 19, authorization for supervisor to enter into an agreement with the National Circus Project, provide a Circus Star summer camp program, very popular program. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 20, special events calendar. Any question? Have St. Patty's Day parade's coming up. Surprise, surprise. So we'll have the Good Irishman, Councilman O'Connor, make that motion. Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It stands approved. Okay, item 21 is an authorization for the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with the Land Tech Group, contract DPW 7-2018, for the 1-year extension period from December 31st, 2022 to December 21st, 2023. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. 2022 is the monetary acceptance of $25,000 from the New York State DOT for the installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacon systems. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion by Councilman, they're also ADA compliant ramps, et cetera. Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 23, authorization for the supervisor to execute a professional services agreement with Nelson and Pope to prepare building plans and site design for an electrical service upgrade and a new air conditioning system at the Central Islip Senior Center. I think this will be the last major component of the renovations of that building, so this is very exciting. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 24, authorization for the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Hogland Energy Group, LLC, for the non-exclusive use of the Central Islip Highway Yard for storage of equipment. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. 25 is an authorization for the supervisor to execute an extension to the agreement with Fire Island Ferries and Uncharted Trading Company, LLC, to permit the use of the town docking facilities for an additional 2-year term. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? We have 4 in favor, 1 recusal. Motion is adopted. Item 26, authorization for supervisor to execute an agreement with the Suffolk County Board of Elections for the use of town facilities as polling places during the elections. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 27 is an authorization with the supervisor to execute a consent authorizing the sublease of SBA Structures, LLC, of the leased town-owned real property located at 401 Main Street, Islip, to Dish Wireless, LLC. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 28, authorization for the supervisor to sign a consent to the assignment by James Jockel for an unspecified percentage of his rights and interest in the lease of that certain real property located on Captree Island in the Great South Bay. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 29 is an authorization for supervisor to execute a non-binding term sheet for the Midway Crossing project. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 30, an authorization for supervisor to enter into a professional services agreement with Custom Computer Systems to provide investigation, repair, and remediation of the town's computer network. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 31, authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider amending Islip Town Code, Chapter 6A, Article 3, entitled Community Preservation and Anti-Blight Enforcement. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? And again, we'll thank that young man from Brentwood who started that whole thing. Item 32, authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider amending Islip Town Code, Chapter 32, entitled Littering. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 33 is an authorization with the supervisor to enter into an professional services agreement with North American Risk Services to manage the town's general and automobile liability claims. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 34, appointment of a delegate and an alternate delegate to attend the 2023 Association of Towns Annual Meeting. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 35, acceptance of a deed of dedication from Gatlis Enterprises for a portion of property located at 820 South Second Street, Ronkonkoma, to be used for highway purposes. Any questions? Motion? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 36 is authorizing the replacement of director and the joint appointment of chairperson by the Suffolk County Legislature to the Midway Crossing Local Development Corporation. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Lorenzo, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. 37 is an authorization for supervisor to sign a site plan review application on behalf of Brentwood Volunteer Ambulance District. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Guadrone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? 4 in favor, 1 recusal. The motion is adopted. Item 38, authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider a 1-year contract with Bayshore Brightwood as Rescue Ambulance to provide emergency ambulance services to the residents of the districts. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. 39 is an authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider a 1-year contract with Exchange Ambulance Corporation of the Islips to provide emergency ambulance services to the residents of that particular district. Any questions? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Item 40, authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider a 1-year contract with Community Ambulance to provide emergency ambulance services to the residents of the Sayville District. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Lorenzo. All those in favor? Opposed? We have 4 in favor, 1 recusal. It is adopted. Item 41, authorization for town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider a 1-year contract with Central Islip Hog Volunteer Ambulance to provide emergency ambulance services to the residents of the district. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. Next is the authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider a 1-year contract with Brentwood Legion Ambulance Services to provide emergency ambulance services to the residents of that particular district. Are there any questions? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? 4 in favor, 1 recusal. The motion is adopted. The resolution, rather. 43, approval of the list of employees and titles which must file financial disclosure statements with the Town of Islip Board of Ethics for the year 2023. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Approved. And the final item on the agenda this afternoon is the authorization for supervisor to execute a professional services agreement or any additional documentation required with L.K. McLean Associates to provide services at the Fair Harbor Dock. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Guardone, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Any other business to come before us? Hearing none. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guardone. All those in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.